Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Quite a few YouTube boxing people have already commented on this. I know G-Man, Boxing Beats and Rhymes did two very good videos. A few others as well that I've watched. But I thought I'd throw my 2 cents into the pot for what it's worth. And that's the subject of Tyson Fury and how he's looking, whether he's in shape or not. Because, yes, the pictures, the eye test, if you like, it looks like positive stuff. But as others have already said, looks can be deceptive. Now, I always think back to a fight which happened, I suppose, around about the time that I really started to watch a lot of boxing and begin to understand what I was looking at. And that was Muhammad Ali versus Larry Holmes. Because Muhammad Ali, for that fight, which was his penultimate fight, he would go on to lose a 10-round decision in the Bahamas to Trevor Berbick. But by the time he fought Holmes, he was already completely shot and he got stopped. He got pulled out by Angelo Dundee in 10 rounds. And Dundee, even though Ali was looking in fantastic condition, he was lighter than ever, looking cosmetically brilliant. Dundee famously said, "Light ain't right," meaning, you know, this isn't I'm going to be arrogant enough to suggest that this is what Dundee meant, that it's not a bodybuilding, a beauty contest, a bodybuilding contest. It's not all about how you look cosmetically. It's about being the right weight, which may not, and which may be a few pounds over. Muhammad Ali himself always used to talk about wanting to carry a few extra pounds into the ring because in a tough fight, it would give him something to burn off. Do you know what I mean? Rather than, you start to, burn off muscle, which is a very bad thing and extremely tiring. If you do a very, very hard session or set of sessions and you're burning off muscle, I mean, you're doing your body some damage. Well, Ali also was popping a lot of these slimming pills. I can't remember the name of them, but he basically got himself, and he even dyed his hair. Put it that way. He went to that extreme to look cosmetically in shape. And one has to wonder, is this a case of Fury doing the same thing? Now, it might not be. It might not be because Fury, first of all, I want him to be in brilliant shape because obviously, like most of you, I want to see this undisputed title fight and I want the best man to win. And if that man is Tyson Fury, I'll tip my hat to them. I tip my hat to him. If that man is going to be Oleksandr Usyk, fine, as long as the right guy wins. But I want them to both come in at their, mentally and physically at their as well prepared as they possibly can be. Because what I don't want is for there to be any kind of controversy or, well, if this had happened and that had happened and all that crap. No. This, all the marbles, this is for all the marbles. They're all in a big bag. The winner is going to take that bag and we want it to be the right person. So I hope Fury is in great shape. I hope that this is not an illusion or a mirage and that, Fury looking great isn't something that is creating a false hope. But we do have to ask, when you consider how Fury has abused his body over the years, all this yo-yoing in weight it's awful. It's awful. I mean, one thing is, Riddick Bowe was extremely talented. And at one point, I would definitely have picked Riddick Bowe to beat Lennox Lewis because I think their career trajectories were at different times. I think they like Lewis reached his absolute peak several years after Bowe was finished. And Bowe reached his peak quite early on in his professional career when Eddie Futch was in charge. I'm thinking of the first Holyfield fight. But he didn't have the discipline. He yo-yoed up in weight and essentially he wrecked his body. And he was the two Golota fights, which Golota should have won, but threw them away through multiple fouls, which you'll know about. I mean, if you know, or if you don't, go and have a look at it. Great, very, very entertaining fights. There's a riot at the end of one of them, but that's the way it is. Even though Bowe kind of got out of jail because Golota, threw those fights away, Bowe was still showing signs of someone who had taken entire years off his career by not living the life. And there is no substitute for living the life. Now, Ricky Hatton, of course, used to do this, jump up and down in weight. Getting back to the heavyweights, a lot of the 70s heavyweights used to, you know, that they were carrying too much weight. They were out of shape, and they took years off their career. So I'm thinking of Tony Tubbs, John Tate, Tim Witherspoon, possibly, although Witherspoon did achieve quite a bit. And actually, if you want to use Witherspoon as an example, when he came over to fight Frank Bruno in 85, was it 85? Bruno, of course, looking like he was chiseled out of marble. This magnificent ebony Adonis. And then you had Witherspoon, who was clearly not in optimum shape, carrying a spare tyre and all the rest of it. Who won that fight? Who lasted? Who outlasted who? And that's because, you can argue that Bruno was too muscle-bound, carried too much lactic acid. But Witherspoon outlasted him because he had better technique, better skills, and because he wasn't. It's not a beauty contest. It's not a bodybuilding contest. The guy, I know this is slightly off topic a little bit, but Andy Ruiz, the Michelin Man, knocking out Anthony Joshua. Looking in great shape it's nice, but it's really, again, cosmetic. It's really just the cherry on the top. No use having a cherry on top of a cake that's awful, that's stale. You can have a really nice glacé cherry, put it on the top of a stale cake. Don't matter, it's still a stale cake. So you've got to be in shape. You've got to, and never mind. I mean, we haven't even touched on the physical, on the mental side of things, on the emotional side of things. Physically, I'm suspicious. I don't know. I've bet against Fury before. I picked him to lose. I picked him to lose the first Wilder fight, and I can't remember about the second Wilder fight. I might have even picked Wilder to win that one. I don't know. I can't remember offhand. But I was stunned when he smashed up Wilder. I'm not going to deny that. Certainly not. But I think that. I think that sometimes it can be an illusion. It can be a mirage when a guy gets himself into shape. Now, the flip side of this is that at least Fury is taking Usyk seriously because, he talked about Ngannou, I did a 12-week camp. Well, it didn't show, mate. And you certainly didn't prepare yourself mentally and emotionally because you looked flat as a witch's tit when you were in there. And you physically, you just didn't look like you were in shape. It looked like you'd maybe been through a fat camp, lost a few stone, but you still didn't look in, because there's fit and there's fighting fit. I suppose that's ultimately the difference. You can get yourself into a physical shape, and I'm talking about heavyweights now because they don't have to make a specific weight, but you can get yourself into a physical shape where you can do maybe 12 hard rounds, but of course, I've met marathon runners who can't spar 3 rounds. Guys who go into a boxing gym and say, "Oh, okay, I want to spar, I want to be a fighter, I want to do this," and then they've run half marathons. They can't do it because it's a different type of fitness. It involves, obviously cardio. It involves. And of course, if you're a marathon runner or you're a fitness freak, no one's punching you in the face or even trying to. So there's a different type of fitness. It's how much you can absorb. How sparring, of course, is vital. I suspect that Fury is at least taking Usyk very seriously. But I get back to Angelo Dundee's comment. Sometimes light ain't right. Sometimes you can lose too much weight. You can get yourself physically fit. Ricky Hatton, I mentioned him earlier. When he went in against Manny Pacquiao, he looked great. He looked physically okay, nice and cut. He made the weight. He shouldn't have been in that ring. He got smashed to bits, and he admitted it was a terrible training camp, absolutely awful. We also have to throw in some of John Fury's comments. Because John Fury, he is what he is for all his comments, his behaviour and some of the stuff that comes out of his mouth. He has been critical of his son in the past. And he's been critical of Sugar Hill and, cast aspersions over Sugar Hill. All of this stuff makes me sceptical. And by the way, I still have to mention, I did a video on this before. I'm not even convinced this fight will go ahead, not by a long shot. I think I'm erring on the side of 60-40, maybe 65-35 that it will. But would it surprise me if it was cancelled? If something happened? Not remotely. Not even remotely. Okay, because for a long, long while, Fury was, angling and conniving and canoodling his way around, tiptoeing around the whole concept of fighting Usyk. Finally, he painted himself into a corner. He couldn't get out of it, especially with the gargantuan amount of money that the excellent Turkey's offering. So, yeah, it's all a bit up in the air. To me personally, I'm not convinced that Fury aesthetically, even though he looks great, is necessarily fighting fit. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And I'm not even sure the fight will go ahead. Meanwhile, of course, we've got the man who seems to be forgotten, which is Oleksandr Usyk. I might do a separate video on this, actually, because I really find it bizarre that no one's talking about Usyk. This consummate professional who just shuts his mouth and gets on with it. What's he doing behind the scenes? Do you think he's sitting on the sofa, eating pizza, watching binging Netflix? I don't think so. I think this guy is on it. I think this is the culmination of his entire career. So I think he will be fighting fit, and he will look aesthetically, physically pleasing to the eye, but he will also be fighting fit. Again, a very different thing. He'll have done all his road work or his cardio, or he'll have sparred enough rounds. He'll be sharp. He'll be footwork, tactics, plan A, B, C. It'll all be in place. I hope the same can be said for Fury, because, like I said, I want this to be a brilliant fight, one that's one for the ages, and I want the right man to win, whether that's Usyk or Fury. Don't care. Don't have a horse in the race. Never mind that I've criticised Fury in the past. I've also praised him. I will praise and criticise anyone. Hold me to that. Hold me to that comment. All right. Anyway. A few thoughts on Tyson Fury, how he's looking, whether he'll be ready, etc., etc. It's not that far away now, is it? When you think about it, I mean, what are we in? We got another week, and we'll be in April already. So, yeah, and of course, then there's the question of the eye. Is that going to open up or whatever? I haven't even gone into that, but leave your comments below. Let me know what you think about the whole thing. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Hit the subscribe button and give the old like button a little tap and all. Why not? Spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Thanks for your time, as always. I'll catch you later. Bye for now.